Hello, I'm Robin. Welcome to Bookspin. So, it's quite an interesting time for the channel at the minute, right? I've just reached one big channel milestone and I'm about to reach another one. So, first up, this channel now has 2,000 subscribers, which is great. I never thought there'd be that many people out there who'd be interested in what I have to say or listen to me talk about books so much. So a big thank you to everyone who watches my videos, and especially those who take the time to leave comments. I really appreciate it. And the second thing is, this channel is about to reach an anniversary. On the 7th of August, it will be 3 years since I uploaded my first video. So those are the two channel milestones. Now, let's take a look at what I read in July. First up, Pandora's Star by Peter F. Hamilton. This is a big chunker of a novel, and this book consumed most of my reading in July. It's a massive space opera, part one of the Commonwealth saga. I did enjoy it, although it did take me a little while to sort of get really invested in the characters and the plot, but it got better and better as I made my way through the novel. I posted a review on here very recently, so I'm not going to add anything more here. Anyway, I'm looking forward to starting the second book soon. And after that, I read Permafrost by Alistair Reynolds, which is a short time travel thriller. I picked this book up as a kind of palate cleanser between longer reads, and I totally underestimated how good it would be. I mean, it is Alistair Reynolds, so of course it's going to be good, but this was brilliant. So let me talk a little bit about what this book is about. It's basically a post-apocalyptic time travel narrative, and it's told across two different timelines. So firstly, we've got a future timeline set in the year 2080, and it's a very bleak post-apocalyptic future. There's been a devastating ecological disaster that's taken place. It's known as the Scouring, and it's wiped out much of life on Earth and threatens humanity with extinction. So we follow a group of scientists in this world in a remote Russian research facility, and they're working on a time travel experiment as a kind of last-ditch attempt to restore some hope for humanity and our future. So our point of view character is an aging school teacher. Okay, she gets recruited into this project and she becomes the initial subject of the experiment. So the idea is to send her consciousness back in time to the year 2028. This is where we get our second timeline. And this type of time travel goes through a process called time injection. So what happens is her consciousness gets transferred to another human being from that period, which I thought was quite an interesting idea. It's certainly a unique take on time travel. So the idea is she can carry out certain actions through her host body and her host persona in a time-embedded state. And she's on a mission to make certain necessary alterations to the past. Okay? But she has to be very careful in order to avoid creating a dangerous time paradox in the future time stream. So that's the basic premise. It's only a short novel. It's basically a long novella, but Reynolds manages to pack a lot in here. It's fast-paced, it's exciting, it's got some mind-bending twists, and I can definitely recommend it. especially if you like time travel fiction. So, Permafrost, amazing read. Besides those books, I've also listened to a couple of audiobooks recently, and both of these are non-fiction, and they're both kind of on the theme of science fiction. So the first book that I listened to is called The Politically Incorrect Guide to Science Fiction and Fantasy by D.J. Butler. And this one was only published recently. It's a 2025 release. So I found this title on Audible. It's not a bad introduction to the genre. Or I should say genres, really, because it covers fantasy as well as SF. And it does quite a good job of introducing key authors and texts and developments in the genre up to the present day. But it's pretty short. It's only about 5 hours long. So there's no real in-depth analysis of each author, which I would have liked. And I also think the title is a bit misleading. I couldn't, at least at first, I thought that was the case. I couldn't really see where the politically incorrect bit came in. But then I discovered that as I listened to it some more, the author does get quite opinionated at times. So, for example, there's one bit he's talking about The Handmaid's Tale, which he dismisses as silly nonsense. Those are the words he uses, right? Because he thinks the premise is too far-fetched. I think he was totally missing the point about that book. And there's also the odd error or mistake, I think, in the text, which led me to believe that he might have done... He could have had some better proofreading, right? So, for example, he refers to Bad Omens instead of Good Omens, which is the Neil Gaiman novel. And I thought, how can he make that kind of mistake? How can that make it through to the final edit? Anyway, it's not bad as a kind of overview for what it is, and it's quite up to date at least, but I suspect there are probably better guides to SF out there. Now, I wasn't planning to start another audiobook for a while, but I recently had a long car journey and I wanted to have something to listen to on the way, so I sought out a new audiobook, again, non-fiction, and I found this book called Time Machine Tales: The Science Fiction Adventures and Philosophical Puzzles of Time Travel by Paul J. Nahin. This one was very different in style to the last audiobook. I thought it sounded interesting, right? It's a kind of deep dive into time travel. And it's a much longer audiobook. But yeah, it is more interesting. It does get quite dry and academic. And it's not just simply a literary discussion. He really goes in deep into the physics and the scientific theories and the philosophy. Some of it's really interesting, but I must confess a lot of it just goes over my head. It's the literature discussion that I'm most interested in, and that's what engages me the most. Sometimes it feels like I'm just listening to someone reading a textbook. Like the narrator will state references, like he'll say, see page 77 to 79 of Journal X or whatever. And then at the end of the chapter, he reads out questions, which they're basically, they sound like follow-up essay questions or discussion prompts. I feel like I'm being given an assignment when I'm listening to it. But there's some really thought-provoking stuff in here, and I've still got quite a lot of it left to listen to, and yeah, I think it's worth the listen. Okay, so that about does it for July. Now, for my August TBR, I'm going to focus on reading Judas Unchained, the second part of Peter F. Hamilton's Commonwealth Saga. It's a huge book, again, and this is definitely enough, I think, to keep me busy this month. Do I need anything else to read? Honestly, I think this is enough for now. I'm also going to get back into Cordwainer Smith, so I'll have some more of his stories to review soon. And of course, I still have that time travel non-fiction audiobook to listen to. If I find myself with some extra time towards the end of the month, I'll pick something else up, maybe. But I'm not committing myself to anything right now. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll see you again soon.